right, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back. This is our last session together, so I really appreciate your time. Cesar is going to send out the link, so you should have that. And I just want to share with you what we're going to focus on today. We're going to be looking at this section here on instructional action planning documents. Do not, oh, I don't, let me refresh and see if it pops up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So ignore where it says OSY case studies. That I probably should try to remove. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. We are going to get into the Nebraska case studies. And I know Cesar sent out a message saying if everybody could print off this document, the lesson review checklist, we are going to be using that later today. So let me see. There we go. Thank you. All right. I have a lot of stuff on my desktop, so you're going to have to bear with me. Okay, I'm going to go to our PowerPoint and let's start there. So you have a copy of this in the Google folder. I've made some adjustments. So this is a PowerPoint, although I have it in Google Slides, but I don't have all of the slides there. So I'll try to upload this in its entirety later. So first off, I know you were reminded you had some homework, so we are going to talk about that. We're going to touch upon the learning plans possibly. I'm going to be really respectful of time today, so there's a lot we have to get through, and I really want to get to you all working with the instructional materials and teaching the rest of us. So you're going to get to present, and then actually this is a very safe space. So you're going to get some feedback on that instructional delivery. So there it is. Talked a little bit about this before. I don't think I need to repeat it. But let's dig into homework assignments. So you were asked to complete some goal setting assignments. I think it was activity 1 and 2 if possible. And then to teach, if you could, one stat lesson. So I'm really excited to hear, how did it go? Were you able to get anything done? So everybody just unmute yourselves and let's just chat. So does that mean no one did the homework? Because you're all super quiet.
I did my homework, but I did that with one, I did this with, I don't know if you can see it,
No.
refrigerator in your health, keeping your food safe.
Okay.
So there was some aha moments for the family, but not, not much, because they're, they've been living here for quite some time. So
why did you pick that? Why'd you pick that lesson?
The refrigerator in your health.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the moments, there wasn't not much for them to know, because my OSY have 5 out of 5 at the beginning in the pre-assessment and then in the post too. But there was some moments that some stuff on the lesson that he didn't know and his wife didn't know. So
okay,
that was good,
Yeah,
they have
good.
4 kids, so yeah.
That's important. Did you do the written response question on the post assessment?
Yes.
Awesome. And they did okay on that?
They did okay, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And then like one of the things, it was they didn't know the temperature of the refrigerator that they should keep the food on, because the new refrigerators, they don't have one, or they don't know that they have a thermometer and how much they're supposed to be, how low or whatever. So
yeah, that's really important.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, good. Were you able to do any goal setting?
I did. I have goal settings with him, but at the beginning I print everything. So I was confused
Oh,
at the beginning, but now I'm kind of breaking it down so I understand a little bit more. But we
okay.
did some goal settings, and I did the first activity with him before, which he was learning. He did the activity one was draw what you believe you are capable of doing in your life, and he says learning English and get his GED because he don't have his diploma yet. So
Awesome.
he's not
Oh, I'm
even
so
21, but
glad.
he's a family guy too. So it's very hard for him to get to the GED part. So
Yeah. Awesome, though. That's exciting. All right. Anyone else would like to share? What lesson did you do? Just raise your hand if you were able to do it. If not, I'm just going to assume that the rest of you couldn't get to it, and that's okay. All right, for those of you not on camera, I'm assuming you're muted and not on camera because you weren't able to do it. And again, that's okay. So we will get it done. All right. So I feel like since only one person did it, I feel like the reflection questions, I would love to hear your opinion in a minute. But let me throw this out to the rest of the group. When you look at the stat lessons, and remember, these are the short, targeted, and timely lessons, are there other topics that you think need to be addressed? Any suggestions? Anything that you're seeing your students may have a need for?
I probably talking too much, but
Oh, you're great.
sometimes I think that he needs more, like he already knows so much because he's the one OSY that is stay in town,
Mhm.
and there is, it's gonna be an OSY for like a year or two or whatever until he gets to be 21. But and it's different for the ones that just come here. But I think with his family, there is a lot of mental health problems. They're going through a lot of problems right now, and sometimes it's scary. And I don't know how to guide him either. I already talked to my supervisor, but there is, like more stuff that they can grab onto it or something,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
more advanced stuff, I will say too.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Were you able to check out any of the mental health resources that we have? And we also have it broken down by state,
Yeah,
a list of places you can access. Okay, wait, let's see. Thank you, Alma. She said she's done several of the lessons already. Awesome. Thank you for putting the lesson link, Cesar, in there. Okay, so I would love for you to think in the future, I mean, to being very intentional about why you decided to use these particular materials with your students, and thinking about any modifications that you made, if you needed to add more advanced vocabulary or more writing prompts. I mean, things like that. There are things you could add in on your own that would definitely modify and make it a little bit harder, a little bit more complex. You certainly can do that. All right, so now we're getting to the case studies. I hope you had a few minutes to at least review the case studies that were shared. So what I would like us to do is we are going to, let's see, how many people do we have on, Cesar?
7.
Okay, could I have, let's just do 2 groups. How about we do that? Okay, so we're going to put you into 2 breakout rooms. And what you are going to do is you're going to review the real life case study scenario. And I'm going to pull those up. So we have, I want to say there are 6 or 7 case studies. So let's see. How about group 1? Does Marcus? And let's see. And group 2 does Sonia. Okay. And these are in your folder, so you can pull them and look at them in your groups. And Cesar can even send you the link, the direct link to the case study document, so everyone should have it. When you get into your work groups, please review again, group 1, Marcus, group 2, Sonia. What I want you to do is really to strategize, and I want you to come up with concrete solutions for how a service provider would support this student. So think about what materials they could use. If there's an issue, there's a lot of these revolve around motivational issues, okay? So I want to hear your best strategies as to how to help engage and motivate each of these students, all right? So really looking at, what recommendations would you make? And I want concrete, specific strategies and resources, and also instructional materials. So I want to make sure everybody's clear on the assignment, because I'm only going to give you, let's do 10 minutes, okay? And let me make sure. Thank you for doing that. Okay, Cesar, are you ready? Are there questions about reviewing the case studies?
There is not Sonia on it. There is, this is the sheet, and there is not Sonia on it. Oh, there is?
You might be
I don't
looking at
have
the
it on
wrong one.
I don't have it on my list. I have Carlos, but I don't have Sonia on it.
Sonia is
So-
the second one.
You might be
And I
looking
think-
at the wrong list.
I got, yeah, I got Leslie, Christina, but I don't have, okay. Okay,
Okay,
somebody else will.
go to where it says Nebraska case studies.
I put a link on the chat.
Okay, great. She's the
Okay.
second one. Can you see that
Okay.
now? Okay. Perfect. Yeah, ignore where it says OSY case studies. That was my error. I apologize.
Yeah, Nebraska
Okay.
case studies.
Okay. When you're ready, we'll give you, what did I say, 10 minutes?
Right.
Okay, so we will come back together. I have almost 1:15. We'll come back at 1:25. All right, remember, concrete solutions, instructional resources, motivational strategies, whatever you can come up with to help your fellow service providers provide support to these students. All right, Cesar, when you're ready.
Ta-da.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Oh, look, you're all on camera now too. Nice. Oh, that means I have to be on camera for a little bit, I guess. Okay, awesome. So let's start with Marcus. All right. Group 1, what did you come up with?
So we had good conversations regarding Marcus.
Good.
I just wrote it on the case study or information because I didn't want to open it somewhere else, and I apologize if I wasn't supposed to.
No, you're fine.
But I guess the discussions we had regarding Marcus was, I guess, from the information that we got from him with the case study, we weren't really sure what his goals were. Like, I completely understand what the mom wants. The mom wants him to have an education. The mom wants him to go back to school. And I feel like the last result is for him to move to California. But ultimately, we're not sure what Marcus wants. So definitely do some goal setting with him to figure out what he wants to accomplish. Is it really getting that GED? Is it going to the work field? even giving him some advice of the importance of education and the more opportunity, like there will be more opportunities for him if he were to get that GED or the high school diploma. And then we also brought up that recommendations for him is just to talk to Marcus about the resources that he has. For example, he could attend an alternative school or program where he will have like an online program, or the class sizes will be smaller for him if he prefers that setting. Just for him to work on his high school diploma and also having that flexibility of working if he needs to be working.
Fantastic. Well done, group. Now, is the person who wrote this case scenario, are you on today? Because I would love to hear if you know what Marcus is doing now, if you followed up with the student, what you did with the student. Is the author on here? Okay, I don't think so. Okay, thank you. Well done.
I didn't write it, but when I read it, I have a couple of students pop into my head. So I feel like whoever wrote this, like it is a frequent case study, if that makes sense. I don't know what the right words are.
No.
Right when I read it, I was like, boom, boom, boom. Oh my gosh, this sounds like so and so and so.
So in your experience, were you able to try out any of the things that your group came up with?
I was able to do the goal setting. So recently I had a student in a similar situation, and I think it went back to like, okay, what is your goal? And we did determine that his goal was to get the high school diploma, and then we worked together on strategies and how he could get there.
Awesome. Thank you. Well done. Okay. Second group, you had Sonia. What'd you guys come up with? Okay, who was in the second group? Breakout room 2. Okay. Do you want to share what your group came up with?
Me?
Yeah, Alma, go ahead.
Well, we're talking about, first of all, we need to know her status to see if we're not going to make her false promises. You know, like if there's any, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name from Omaha.
Finley.
Yeah, she was talking about there's something that helps with ELL kids, kind of put them through the courses if she has nursing, kind of to motivate her to get back into school. And we talked about, first of all, it doesn't matter how long you tell her or what you tell her, if she's not motivated, she's not going to go. So try to motivate her first and find out her status to see if we're not making, like I said, false promises, and then kind of show her this to see if this will help her move in the right direction, whether it be like schooling or the job that she is learning to do, like getting her CNA and all of that.
Yeah.
They could explain it better. They were talking about it as well, but Candy
go
said
ahead.
there was something there in Omaha that helped kids with the ELL.
Oh, do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was just sharing some information. Recently, one organization came out to us and they were talking about how they can help students. They have to be ELL students they help them to get a job and then to work on their GED. So they walk with them through all the steps in order to help them. But what we're saying, it's like in this case for Sonia, we need to know what are the obstacles, and that way we can find the right resources, because sometimes their status can play against us, because we can find the resources, but if they don't qualify, that's like giving false hopes to them. So
thank you. Well done. I really appreciate everybody's comments. Thank you. I think you all did a fantastic job with that. If if you have some time, I would look through the rest of the case studies, since these were submitted by your peers, and continue talking about them. So I'm actually going to skip this because I think we've talked enough about learning plans. And you know why to do them. And also, I mean, thinking about how you can relate and frame the activities with goal setting, as well as adding that additional component of developing the learning plan. So we're going to go right back into another activity. And each of these activities are building on each other very purposefully, because one of the things that you all were interested in thinking about, of course, is what resources are available. So you're going to have a little bit of time to dig around in the website. And you can look at any of the resources. Don't just get stuck on ELL or stat lessons, but go back and look at math and reading, English for daily life, goal setting. Go through it all with your assigned student scenario. What I want you to think about is I want you to discuss what resources would be used to support this student, or if there's something that you have used outside of iSOSY materials, throw that out to us all so we can learn and grow alongside you. And then I want you to think about, because the other huge issue that keeps coming up over and over is time. Number one, we want to be timely in how we support our students, but we also need to be time-based. So how much time do they have to spend with us? And so I want you to start thinking about, and this is where we become, I like to say, nimble in terms of making connections with resources dependent upon student needs and adding in the time factor. So what I want you to do in your groups, one, tell all of us what resources you would use. And then I would like you to really look at what would you do if you had a very short period of time that the student was available. You can make modifications to a lesson. You can begin thinking about, okay, if I have 15 minutes just to get started, what would I focus on? One, I'll tell you what I would do is I would target vocabulary. That's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, because you're going to look at supporting them as English language learners. And even if they're not English language learners, you're going to focus on literacy development via vocabulary. Now, if we move into more time, if we look at 30 minutes, you can do a lot more. You can have them do some guided practice. You could have them role play an activity based upon what they're learning. There's all kinds of scenarios here, but I want you to think about this. So I would like to give you, I'm sorry, I'd like to give you 15 minutes for this activity. And what we're going to do is, let's see, how many groups should we put people in? So we have, sorry, I have to move you around to remind myself of how many scenarios. We have 4 scenarios. So can we just randomly, Cesar, put the groups into 4 breakout rooms? This should be in your, should be in the folder as well. So let me go there. You're going to go to, I know we have a lot of scenarios and case studies, but this one is the scenario activity. Okay. So you will have this. We're going to have, obviously group 1 will do scenario 1, group 2, scenario 2, group 3, scenario 3, you get the picture, right? Okay. So again, we are looking for what resources you would use, what instructional materials, and feel free to add in if you've used something that you think would be a great fit. Let's all learn together. And then lastly, I want you to think about incrementally, how do we support students based upon the time available that they have? Okay. Do you have questions before you go into your groups?
Tracy, can we get the
Yes.
scenarios before
Yep.
we go on break sessions?
Yes, hold on one second. Yep. Let me go back. So if you pull it up, do you see where it is in the folder? If you go to that link to the Google folder, it will be right here, scenario activity. Just open that up. The assignment is there on that slide. Scenario 1, You have a crew of watermelon cutters and packers. They'll only be in your region for 1 to 2 weeks. They talk about wanting to learn some basic English phrases, especially for groceries and food. So what would you do with them? So then scenario 2, you have 2 women living in a motel for the fall squash season. I told you they have some ideas for their future, but are unsure of how to go about it or where to begin. I think I made that one too easy. Scenario 3, can you guys see this? I'm talking and I don't even know if you can see it. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, darn it. I hate that when I do that. I hope you edit this stuff out. Okay, so, so scenario 3, you come across a 19-year-old who's working in an area where there are no local support programs, right? He isn't sure what he's interested in doing. He was a 10th grader in high school in the US last year. However, he didn't finish because he moved and now he's not allowed to enroll because he's too old. And believe it or not, this happens all the time. I hope it doesn't happen in Nebraska, but it happens in a lot of other states. So how would you provide support for him? Then the last one, you have 2 OSY, ages 18 and 19. They've just learned they're expecting their first child. They don't have a lot of support from family or anyone else. And the mom-to-be's parents are not in the US. The couple doesn't have a lot of support and they're currently moving 3 or 4 times a year for tomato season. So what would you do? Okay, so everybody should have copies. And I think, yep, there you go. You put them in the chat. Awesome. You're one step ahead. I love it. Thank you, Cesar. Okay, do you guys have questions?
Groups are also, there's a picture on the chat. All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll see everybody in 15 minutes.
I wasn't kidding. It was not long. Well, welcome back. I accidentally
Thank you.
put Tracy in the breakout room. I apologize. All right, Tracy, everybody's back. You are in fact muted, FYI, Tracy.
Well, geez, thanks. I've been talking. Okay, hi again. Yeah, so he threw me in a group by my room by myself. So I'm happy to be out of jail. All right, scenario 1, who had the crew of watermelon cutters? Which group?
We did. Let me see. Is
Okay.
Emily back? Emily's my speaker, but okay. So when we were looking at the scenario, we looked on the iSOSY different resources available. And one of the resources we really liked was besides the basic English phrases they want for groceries and food, we thought it'd be great to have the audio lessons as well, which maybe they can plug into their phone, download to their phones, and then they can listen while they work. So they may not be paying attention the entire time, but they'll subconsciously be learning. And then maybe at the end of the day, they can download the book as well and then flip through it. And that way they can maybe learn it a little bit more and it'll be easier. And we also saw that in the book, the way it's written, like, hi, how are you? It's also written in the way we would speak it in Spanish, you know, J-I for hi, J-O-U for how, and then and so on. So it's easy to be self-teach yourself.
I love it. One other, are you finished? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Anything in terms of longer periods of time that you would add in?
So we were thinking of also, besides giving them what they wanted, we would also add like the hand washing, the heat stress
Cool.
resources as well. So it's not just a short-term material that they can learn. They have a long-term. They would have materials on for months if needed.
Awesome. And I was also going to point out the English for Daily Life. There's a whole huge 4-week content on grocery shopping and food. So you could do incremental pieces with that too.
Yes, definitely. There's so many good resources on there that would be very beneficial to them.
Awesome. Okay, great job. All right. Scenario number 2. What'd you come up with?
Okay, in this scenario, these ladies, they just for a season, it looks like, and they didn't tell us their ideas. I mean, we didn't know what ideas, but I think we, at the first time, I think we should just take a package for them with information on how the town runs, you know,
Mhm.
and all the resources available, you know, food pantry and all that stuff. And then depends of what they want to do, you know, their ideas, which we don't know. We could go from there, but then in the meantime, we could take them out of the iSOSY to the FYI sheets, you know,
Oh my
because
goodness,
they didn't
yeah.
have much time.
Uh-huh.
And then I was thinking about, we were thinking about taking the, you know, of course, the hygiene. If we have more time, the hygiene, the pesticides, the heat, because they work with the squash, the
Mhm.
heat, all those lessons, if we have more time. And you know, the traffic signals too, that's very important because they don't know, you know, they have to learn how to move through town, and if they get sick, you know, where they go, you know, things like
Yeah.
that. So there is one in the
Okay.
iSOSY too, Alma just told me, so that was very important because some of the newcomers, they don't know nothing about the town or how this country is
Mhm.
run. So because they were very,
Awesome.
very new. So
I love that. That's great. I would also do some goal setting with them.
yes, that's what it's gonna do goal setting, but we didn't know because we
Yeah.
were debating, are they just passing through? Are they gonna be migrant, you know, going from one place to the other? So we could talk about, you know, the ELL programs, the literacy programs, the, you know,
Mhm.
alternative school, because one is 20, the other is 21, and then, you know, go from there, but we just didn't know much of
Yeah,
the
no, you could do.
ideas.
Yeah, trying to figure out also their status to see where we could lead them so that we don't give them again false hope. Find out, you know, what their level of education is to see if they need, you know, if they're able to get a GED or if they have language skills, so we could either send them to ELL classes, you know, a little,
Great.
find a little more about them to
I
figure
love
out,
it.
like, this is kind of like, we don't really have a lot of info on them.
Nope, this one was more of a blank slate that you had a lot of room to explore. Thank you. Well done. Okay, scenario number 3. Which group?
Hello, this is Leticia. We came out that he's a 19-year-old and he says you're not old enough for a local program. But actually that's not true because we need to provide public education till they are 21. Probably do need to do some advocating for this student.
Awesome.
And then depending on the school district, some will have alternative ed, which it will help them meet the requirement goals so they can graduate. And if the student does not wish to come to school, then we were thinking of a GED program or something
Mhm.
online. But with support, just keeping the student on track, make sure that they don't fall behind or fall through the cracks, or just keep them motivated. So that way, you know, we can find or search for other resources that way, and kind of just helping with the goals of what the student's goal is, because it is important for them to focus in getting at least a high school diploma, because it's very hard for them to try to get other jobs without it anymore. You know, even a McDonald's will require a high school diploma.
Wonderful. Well done. And I love that you immediately knew right now they're allowed to attend school up until the age of 21. Thank you. Awesome. Good resources. I'm going to jump. I want to do the last one and then I want to show you something on the website too. Okay. Our last scenario.
So we did the last one with the Carmen, and we were talking about, well, it's about two always wise, they're going to be parents. And looking for the support services that we could provide, also trying to help them if they need a stable job instead of moving around.
Mhm.
And thinking on instructional support, we thought of probably giving them printing lessons would be ideal for them, since they are 18 and 19 years old. Also trying to refer them to organizations where they can get the support for clothing, or
Mhm.
even for applying for Medicaid or something like that. So that's what we're looking, the ways that we can provide services.
All done. Okay, I want to take you to the website quickly. I want to show you one more thing really fast, and then I have some other content. Okay, so I loved a couple of things. One, if you go under practitioner and click on pathways, I want to point out a couple of things that we didn't get to talk a lot about that are really great. One, a career awareness toolkit for those students who are not really sure what they want to do, where they want to go. This is a really fun tool. And you can download it, or you can just use it from the website, but it's really great because it has several different unit themes. So we start with self-awareness. There's a pre and post assessment where the students self-assess, and then there are resources. So you want to ask the questions or look at the statements. I know what kind of activities I find fun. I have career goals in mind. And then there are links to additional supportive activities. And it goes through multiple unit themes. So then it goes into goal setting, career awareness, financial awareness, which is huge and ties into some math and financial literacy pieces. And then education, what are my goals? I know where to find it. And then what skills and resources do I have? So I think this is a great resource to use. And it's really fun to do in the summer. So if you're looking for something new to try with your students, I would do that. The other thing I want to point out to you are the pathways guides. For those of you who are interested in supporting students through earning their high school equivalency or earning specific credentials, there's 2 versions, and I'm not going to be able to get into these today, but I would take a look at these, because there's one that is for you, the provider, to learn more. What questions do I need to ask the student? How do I find this information? There are we call them student profiles, where it lists specific student examples, so you can get an idea of, does this fit your particular students? And then we have the actual student versions, or these are tools that you can go through with your students. They're very brief. They're about 3 pages, and it's along the same format, but I love that they have successful examples, and they're in English and Spanish. So I would take a look at these, especially for those folks who said, oh, this student wants to earn a GED or a high school equivalency. This is a great tool to sit down with a student and go through with them, because it asks specific questions about what are your expectations? Are you prepared? These are the things you need to expect, etc. So I would definitely take a look there. I wanted to make sure I shared that, because I think it's really good stuff. Okay, I may be a little biased, but can't help myself. Okay, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about some other aspects in regard to how students learn, how they learn best, and what are some strategies that you can begin incorporating. Maybe you're already doing them, but we're ultimately going to end up, as I said, where you're going to be teaching others. So when you look at average student retention rates, you'll see if we just talk at them, they learn very minimally, right? If they read something, they retain about 10%. If they have an audio visual, a little more. If you demonstrate, again, a little more, add some discussion in. If you add guided practice where they get to practice doing and receive feedback, they retain about 75%. But if they learn something and then teach it to a peer, or even if you're brave enough to do some reciprocal teaching where they lead the class and teach others, they retain 90% of what they learn. So it's very powerful. So I also want you to think about this pyramid in terms of what we have been doing these last 3 sessions and today. So you hear me, but then there's an activity. And we build on that. And the whole point of doing those, of course, is hopefully you're going to be able to retain a little bit more each time. So the ultimate activity and our last activity will be to teach others. So how do we all learn best? I think we're really not just one of these. I think we're more combinations. It's very few people who are just auditory learners. You know, usually they're a combination of visual and auditory. A few people really do learn best through movement, through doing it. But I wanted to also throw out some active strategies. And these are things that you can do easily in your groups. And we've done these. Not all of them. We didn't have a debate, which would have been fun. We're going to get into potential opportunity for role playing. Some of you already did that. Remember when one person acted as the student, the others were the teachers. We've obviously done case studies. Think, pair, share, really simple strategy. Peer teaching. And I wish we had time to do debates because I think that's super fun. We're definitely going to be doing reciprocal teaching where we're going to pretend to be the students and you all are going to teach us. So if you can incorporate some of these into your instruction, I think you're going to see more engagement and more learning take place. So I want to very quickly, we are not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I love this tool. You have it in your folder. If you open it up, it's the OSY Instructional Action Plan. And I just want to talk about it because I want to point out a couple of things in terms of sound instructional practices. And this document takes you through 4 steps. One, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on step 1 because sometimes it's so out of our control, creating a positive learning environment. You know, sometimes you're sitting at a picnic table, sometimes you're sitting in a trailer, sometimes you're at a library. So there's some pieces that are out of your control, but there are some things that you can do to reduce distractions and challenges for your students. The second thing, we've been talking about building rapport. Think about our very first goal setting activity with, you remember the questions that we asked each other. We're going to take a look at some conversation starters. But the idea is, and this is really important as we move into how do we transition to instruction. So you don't just say, okay, we spent 5 minutes building rapport here. Now I'm going to actually teach you a lesson. So how do we move seamlessly from rapport building, relationship building, which is so critical with our students, correct? To how do we transition to instruction? And then finally, embedding anything we do with young adult learning strategies. So the other piece of the instructional action plan that I think is exceedingly important is reflection. One thing that we are not very good at doing, some are better than others, and I applaud you, but is taking a moment after we provide instruction to say, did it work? Did my student learn something? Were my strategies successful? What would I do in the future? How would I make modifications? And I like this because it allows us and it really forces us to spend a few minutes on reflective practices. What did I learn about my students through rapport building? Then looking at just evaluating on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being ineffective, 5 being very effective. How would you rate your ability to create a positive learning experience? How would you rate your ability to build rapport with your students? So take a few minutes and really look at the OSY instructional plan. It's located in your folder. And here's graphically, you could see the steps. I'm not going to spend time on the effective learning environment, but what I do like is in the document, there are guiding questions and then some tips, and you all can come up with tips together. I think this is a good follow-up piece, Cesar, if you would like to really tackle, take apart this document, add to it, etc. And then we give you some ideas. Are you in a home? Are you at a student's home? Are you on a farm? Are you providing instruction at a specific site? So we always provide that as well. And then here's just some graphics about minimizing clutter, bringing supplies if your student needs supplies, trying to minimize distractions, our own distractions and theirs, and then building rapport. Again, I don't want to belabor this. I want to focus on the last two, but we give you a series of conversation starters, and what would you use? So we have an actual document that just lists some prompts. You can use the prompts from goal setting. You can use these, what are your strengths? Things that you can do really well. What is something you would like to know more about and why? Again, think about these questions in terms of bridges to instruction. So you want to get that conversation going, and then look at, okay, if these are your strengths and this is what you'd like to learn, let me show you. Is there something you've enjoyed reading? Tell me what was great about it. So really looking at other ways to build rapport as a means of not only getting to know your student and build a relationship, but also as a means to segue into that instructional transition. So I'm going to take a breath and let's see if you have questions, or if you have other questions that you use to help build rapport and give you information about where to start instructionally with a student. So what are some questions that you ask?
So I guess mine is not really a question.
Mhm.
I think I always start with kind of like a statement with any student that I'm working with of like, hey, like I'm looking forward to building a good relationship with you. Like I'm here to help you and support you. I always say, hey, like I don't know you, so I'll ask you a lot of questions because I'm just trying to get to know you. But
Mhm.
also, if there's a question that like you don't want to answer, that's okay with me, and I respect you in that. So I feel like it allows the kid to be like, okay, like this lady is new, she's asking me
Yeah.
questions, but maybe this question I don't want to answer and I can say no to it. And I always tell them like you can say no to, or you can just be like, hey, I don't want to talk about that, okay? And that's okay. Like I respect you. So I do let my kid know, and I felt like it's been going really well because even like a couple weeks ago I started working with a new student, and I guess it was the student that that reminded me of that last case that we had to do.
Mhm.
Um and we were trying to get a plan going for him to get his high school diploma, and I guess one of my question was, okay, like what is a teacher that you did not enjoy to be in her classroom or his classroom, and why? Like, let's figure out the why you didn't have a good relationship with this teacher. And he started talking about it, but then stopped and said, actually, I don't really want to talk about it. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that's okay. Like, we can talk about something else.
Uh-huh.
So I think it allowed him, because in the next week that I saw him, he was a little bit more open too. So I think just giving that, I don't know, for me, it's been working. And I think it's a good opportunity for kids to know, like, hey, like, yes, I have a say on what I would like to share and what I would not like to share.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. Absolutely. I think you're putting the power back within the student. I think that's really well done. Absolutely.
And
Thank you for
and
sharing that.
also, oh, you're welcome. And then I guess questions after that
Uh-huh.
is they like to talk about themselves. So it's like, hey, where are you from? What do you like to do? What are your favorite things? Like they really, I feel like they do like to enjoy sharing about their culture, where they're from, the food that they enjoy to eat. So all those questions I feel like they're very
love
open
that.
and allows them to start sharing.
Wonderful. No, that's great. Thank you for that. And I really appreciate the segue from explaining and putting parameters around what they feel comfortable sharing and having that freedom to say, yes, I can say no to you. I think that's great. Well done. Anyone else want to share?
I just want to share something. Well, in my case, and I haven't experienced this so often. I don't know if someone else too. But when I with my students, and they're from different culture, so I think that's kind of interesting for me because there are some things I do practice in my culture, but it's might be kind of offensive to them, and so I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to be careful in things to ask, for example. So it's just a comment that sometimes the culture might be one way to start with, to connect with the students. So for
Mhm.
example, so the other day, one of the families, they offered me, I think it was a drink. I think it was just a water, and I said, "Oh no, that's okay. I have it in my car, and so just give me an excuse." And one of the interpreters that she was with me, she said, "No, you have to take it, but they can take it as an offensive. It's rude to them." And I was like, "Well, it doesn't rude to me, but I mean, it made sense, right?" So that's
Mhm.
kind of the things that I have to being careful in order to connect with my students, because once we have this connection, then we can ask whatever we can, or I mean they're willing to share with us.
Awesome. Thank you. That is another incredibly important point to always consider. And I really appreciate you sharing that story. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Always include, think about and include reflection around what your student is coming to you, where they're coming to you from, both culturally, physically, et cetera. So yes, excellent point. Anyone else? Well done. Okay. So I feel like you're already experts at this just naturally, but I think it also helps to have a solid plan to begin thinking about how you do transition to instruction. So really looking at, if you've been there more than once, let's review the previous material, relating the lesson to an interest expressed in previous conversations. So really looking at how can we build on that interest? This is what you've told me you would like to learn about. So let's continue down this path. I've found these additional resources for us. Are there other ways that you naturally transition to instruction? Maybe you've never even really thought or labeled what you're doing, but instinctively you've sort of known to move from I'm getting to know you, building that relationship, but then how do we move into looking at delving into instruction? Has anyone thought about what they actively do? And that's okay. You may not have, as I said, labeled it, but clearly you're doing something to move from that. And I think that the more you begin thinking about reviewing materials, really tying into interests, past experiences, trying to really look at what their prior knowledge is at this point, the easier it is to transition to instruction. And if you look at, there's some ideas here, and it links to additional resources. So you definitely can check those out on your own, but try to relate to interest as best as possible, creating that comfort and relationship, and then looking at how can I create some enthusiasm for what we're going to be learning and making it obviously relevant. Relevance to their lives are clearly the best ways to move forward in transition to instruction. And then the last thing I want to share this, because I don't want to run out of time before you actually get a chance to do the activity. So you have in your folder I think it's 1 or 2 pages document called Young Adult Learning Strategies. And I really want you to take a moment to look at that, because we know from research that young adults learn best when you connect to concepts with real life applications, right? So they don't just want to learn math, they want to know, how is this going to apply to my life? And giving me some real life examples. They need to learn experientially. They need to have hands, they need to be hands-on. They need to learn by doing. So learning is practical and related to real life, but you provide immediate practice and feedback. So it's not just sitting there listening to you. There's guided practice involved, and you want to involve the students in the process. So guiding them through their interests and really looking for activities that meet their interest is a great way to do that. You also, as I mentioned before, you want to connect and find out in terms of the student's own prior knowledge. What do they already know and are able to do, and then build on that. So you could take a look at that, but it says, so the principles, I kind of went through this quickly, young adults must want to learn, right? So tackling that motivational piece. Young adults will learn only when they feel a need to learn. So they need to see the benefit, right? Young adults learn by doing, they learn through participation. And young adult learning focuses on problems, and the problems must be realistic. So making it relevant to their life. And here's more in the document, there's a more detailed description and then an application to teaching. So what does that really mean, and how can I do that? So I want you to think about those. So as I said, making it relevant and useful, adjusting to meet their needs, practice and feedback. I've already talked about reflection. And I want to go through one more document, and then we're going to go into the same breakout groups, correct, Cesar? Okay. So
Yes.
you also were asked yesterday to print off this lesson review checklist. So we know quality instruction, and I've talked about a lot of these, right? We've talked sort of ad nauseum about pre and post assessments, but you can write your own. You can look at a lesson if it's not available and just quickly write 1 or 2 questions to figure out what they should know, what they might know, right? And then the post assessment are going to be the same questions, because it's going to assess, did they learn? You always want to be clear about your learning objective. You want to tell your students, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. This is what we're going to learn. All of the STAT lessons have I can statements built into the top of the lesson plan. You want to do explicit vocabulary instruction, which again is built into every one of those lesson plans. You want to do comprehension checks. You want to make sure that they understand what you're asking them to do, what you have just discussed, or what they've read, right? And then, as I mentioned, the post-assessment. We also know there are other factors that impact student success, which is what I just talked about. Creating an effective environment conducive to learning, building rapport, having a solid transition to instruction that is based upon that engagement and rapport building, and then utilize adult, and in our case, young adult learning strategies. Okay, that's a lot of information, right? So now we're going to give you an opportunity to practice. What you're going to do is you are going to go through your assigned lesson. And we're going to totally run out of time, Cesar. I'm going to do my best. Okay. Let's do a 5-minute segment versus a 10-minute segment, okay? So you're going to plan to teach us. We are your students, okay? 5-minute session. You can use any of the instructional strategies we've discussed, right? And you have this document, okay? You printed it off. You can, if we had more time, you could create a script if you wanted to and be prepared to role play with the rest of us as your students. We're still going to act as your students, so there'll be some role playing. And then you're going to get some review and feedback from us, from not just me, but each other. Okay. So do you have questions about the assignment? So thinking about everything we've learned thus far, this is, you're going to prepare to teach us, not just show us or say, this is what I would do, but be prepared to teach us. And I want to go. Let me see. Hold on one moment. Okay. So I want to go back to, all right, we are now going to decide what lesson you're going to do. So, and let me just tell you, you know where goal setting is, you have all those materials. If you get a stat lesson, I believe you know how to get there. Bonanza is under life skills, and the lesson would be your budget. Math, under math, we have 2 sets of curriculum. You could pick whatever you want to do. We have math on the move and math for living, and you could pick whatever lesson there. Career awareness, you could pick whatever segment you want, and that's under pathways. And if you struggle to find something, we'll help you. Okay, so breakout room 1, group 1, this is your lesson.
And breakout group 1 is Emily and Leticia.
Okay, Emily and Leticia, you get career awareness. Okay. Breakout room 2, group 2.
Alma and Claudia.
Okay, you get Bonanza, your budget. So Bonanza is the name of the curriculum. The lesson is your budget. And I'll show you where that is too. Group 3.
Carmen and Candy.
You get, oh, this is brand new. I'm excited. You get the brand new lesson on at a convenience store. So that's the short, targeted, and timely.
And Tracy, that's all the groups we have right now.
Oh, easy peasy. Okay. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Well, I think we could get it done. If we go, yeah, let's see where you are in 10 minutes. If you need a little extra time, we'll give you a few more minutes, and then we'll come back and you will teach the rest of us, and we'll give you some feedback. Okay. And let me just show you where to get Bonanza. Okay. So you're going to go under practitioner, instructional resources, math. Nobody got math. Okay. So Bonanza, you're going to go under life skills and stat lessons. And there you are, Bonanza. It's under finances. And you're going to do your budget, which is lesson number 2. Okay. All right. Does everybody else know where to find the other lessons?
Can you show the career awareness toolkit, please?
Yes, I can. I am happy to do so. So you want to go under practitioner, and you're going to go to pathways. And there it is, career awareness. And that's the one that is kind of embedded into the website. So you can just scroll through it. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Can you show us the last one, that stop convenience store, please?
Yep, of course. Okay. Okay, go under practitioner, instructional resources, and you can get the stat lessons a couple of different ways. You can go under life skills and stat lesson. Let's just do that. Then you're going to scroll down and see them right there. Now you're lucky in that the stat lessons, I think, are probably easier than other things to teach right now because you have an entire lesson plan. So if you scroll down to the bottom, there it is. And there's pre-test, post-test, etc. So, all right, any questions? We'll see you back in about 10-ish minutes. All right, thank you. Okay, I want to make sure
They should be coming in.
okay.
Sheila. Oh, we got kicked out.
Okay, I know it probably wasn't enough time, obviously. So let's just go with what you have. We're going to be flexible. Okay.
Okay.
So group one, and share your screen if you can, and let us know when you're ready to go. And everybody else, you should have that lesson review checklist. So if you just want to go through and see how they're doing in regard to providing alerting objectives, some practice, any vocabulary instruction, etc. So group one. No pressure.
Leticia, would you like to share?
What was that?
Would you like to share?
Yeah, well, on our lesson, we kind of started with the pre-assessment and come up with a couple of questions, and then instructing, letting the students know their objectives and expectations. And prior to the lesson, printing up different articles and setting the class by groups and giving them a number so they will have time to go through the articles. And then we will bring them back together and we let them share for each group. And then after that, with the same questions, we would ask them to set up their own goals from what they learned. And then after that, we would do the post-test and see how much they increase their knowledge after we did the lesson.
Okay, so we're your students though. So why don't you try some of it with us?
Okay, well, you don't have articles. But, you know, what are your suggestions, Emily, as far as some of the articles? Because you had the paper and I didn't.
Yes, so I guess what we were trying to say is that we would have printed these articles and have everybody break into groups and discuss the articles. So they would discuss the articles, see what they learned from the articles, and then present them to the group to see what they learned.
Okay, thank you. All right, it sounds like you're trying to tackle several items from our lesson review guide. So really looking at, you said doing the pre and post assessment, having them dig into reading the article, highlighting what they learned from it. So you provided the objective. Okay. Any comments from anybody else? All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to group two.
I don't know how to navigate the screen. Did you mind finding the budgeting for me?
Sure.
For us?
Okay.
Alma, did you know how to
Get
do it?
there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting there. Hold on.
I'm just like you, Claudia.
Huh?
I don't, I don't
Oh,
know
wait,
how to-
do you know how to get there? Are you there?
Yeah, we know. We
Oh,
just don't know
no,
how
we-
to do it with your screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. You should be able to share your screen now.
How?
See the little, there's a green button at the bottom. It says share screen.
Okay, just a
Just
minute.
click
I'm
on
gonna
that.
learn once. Okay, share screen. Okay, there.
All the things you're learning today, right?
And then I can do it.
Yeah,
And then where is the, oh, right here, you already did it. Okay.
you did
okay,
it.
where did it
Awesome.
win? I can't see.
It should
Okay,
come up.
Stop share, no, how do I do this? Oh my goodness.
I don't know why it looks that way.
Yeah, it's a little, I don't know. What should I do? Doing more or what? Okay,
How about if I share my screen and you tell me what to do?
I was gonna say,
yeah,
All right,
it's not
so
going,
stop sharing.
stop sharing, okay?
Mhm.
There we go.
Okay, so let me,
There we
you
go.
did, sorry, you did.
Budgeting,
budgeting.
budgeting.
Okay, so that's under life skills. Finances.
Finance.
Get in there.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. And I'm gonna make this larger. So I think everybody can see now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we're ready.
Okay, Sulma, you start or I start?
You go ahead, Claudia.
Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is access our prior knowledge, like do the pre-assessment and talk to our OSY and see what he knows about budgeting and asking
Okay.
if he's, obviously he's working. And we do the pre-test and then after that we just go from there and kind of feeling what he knows. And then we can introduce, the vocabulary, maybe it's new to him. And then the most, for me, because I've done it many times, the most thing that I insist on knowing is the balanced budget and the unbalanced budget. So that way they know, how much they are making and how much they are spending. And if they can save too. And then like Alma says, after, and then through the lesson we do practice opportunities, which there is practice sheets in there, several, so he can do hands-on, because that way it would sink more on him. And then after that we do the post assessment. They go up unbalanced and balanced budgets. And then we will do the post assessment, and then after that, if he's comfortable, we help him get, depends of whether he's staying in the States or not, opening an account so he can have like a checking account and savings account. After we work to this and we know that he's comfortable with it.
Great.
And
We-
then, of
We
course,
both agreed that, sorry, Claudia. We
sorry.
both agreed that we've done this several times with several of our OSYs, and that's how we start, by asking them how much do they know, how much they're making and how much they are having to spend on bills, rent and everything, to make sure they do have a good balance so they don't go over or not know what's going on with their bank account.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know that you could also introduce them to some apps that would help them create a budget as well and keep that budget. So there are ways you can enhance this lesson easily. Nice.
Why do you remember
Anything else?
that? I don't have anything else.
Okay. No, this was good. Thank you very much.
There is
walked us
more, there is
Mhm.
some stuff that I used to like envelope system, which they can save on their own if they don't want to go to the bank, because some of them they say, I don't have the documentation of stuff, to go to a bank and do that. So I just tell them this system, and it's just off the internet. You just can do
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you know,
Awesome.
budgeting with just envelopes.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you. Well done. All right. Next group.
Nobody has done nothing for me. Some girl came here, she
Is that
just
me and
sat
Candy?
there, did some classes, and
Is
Oh,
it
wait, I
me?
think,
So it wasn't Carmen,
Is it, I don't know, is it me? That's who's next? Who's
the
next?
last group.
yeah, I don't know who that was talking.
Oh, that was Karen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, remind me
Okay.
what you guys are doing, which lesson?
The stat.
Okay. Can
isn't
you
that
share
what
your
we
screen?
had? Yeah, we had the stat, the short, targeted, and timely.
Okay,
I can try.
okay.
Hold on.
If not, I'll be happy to do it.
Did I do
Oh,
it?
you got it. Yeah, you did it. Good job.
I
Yeah.
did it. Sorry. It's the little things make me happy.
I get you.
Okay.
Okay,
so-
convenience store.
Yes, so pretty much the whole lesson plan is laid out here. There's a few things we were questioning on, like the service vocabulary, like bathroom. Not sure why that one's on there. It's kind of funny, but okay. I get it with the out of order, but bathroom, I can think
I
of a few
don't-
other ones.
The group thought that was an important word to learn. And I'm not sure why.
I guess, but I mean, it is important. So what we thought is, so go and do for the pre and post test. So the pre-test, it's kind of self-explanatory here. We thought maybe there should be added a worksheet or something about money and like identifying money and values,
Mhm.
so that you could actually know, okay, so a $10 bill is worth $10, a $20 bill is worth $20, and the same with the coins. Because if you go into the store and they ask you for cash and you don't know which one to give them, you're kind of up a creek.
Carmen, we have that elsewhere. So,
We
but we can
elsewhere? Okay.
definitely add, we can connect it here in the lesson plan. That's a good,
Yeah,
good suggestion.
I think that is essential, because if you don't know the value of money, then you can't really
Yep.
pay for anything. So we
Okay,
thought
I've
maybe
added that. Thank
reviewing,
you.
yeah,
You
reviewing.
guys are really the first
that-
people to look at it.
Well, I'm glad we could help. That is definitely something. And
Mhm.
then maybe for the services vocabulary, adding
Mhm.
ones that are exchange, receipt, key, and bathroom. But there's a few other ones that I think should be added
Okay,
in there that would be essential to know, especially if you're trying to shop.
okay.
And then
Like
maybe
what?
have them, well, I'm trying to think of, like, if you can't read the signs,
Right.
how are you going to know which aisle to go down?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're all in English and they're not in Spanish or in the language that you speak, or that's the only way you are really good at reading,
Mm-hmm.
then how are you going to know which aisle? So, I mean, asking, which aisle is this in? Like, can you help me? Where can I find this? I mean, where is, but also just even like, can you give me directions? What side of the store am I supposed to go to? Am I going to this side to find this one and this side to find that one? Point that
Okay.
out kind of a little bit more.
Great.
'Cause-
Nope, I like that. Adding to the phrases. Sure.
Yeah, I would be lost.
Okay,
Um,
thank you. That's very good.
I'm
Okay.
trying to think. I can't think right off the top of my head a lot of the vocabulary, but there is a few that I could see that possibly would be essential to use.
Okay.
Like I said, I can't really think of them off the top of my head. I'm kind of
No,
at
no,
a
that's
loss for
great.
words.
And I didn't mean to get you off topic. I'm sorry.
no, you're perfectly fine. But then maybe taking them to a store also
Yes.
and having more of the hands-on, because and just kind of, okay, so this is the aisle you would find this, this is the aisle you would find that, little things, or even give them a map of a store
Yes.
and just have them go through and be like, okay, so this is the map of Walmart. Please put into what section you would find this, this, and this. Okay, so there's the name of all of the departments in the store, and then they have to figure out from the vocabulary where they would put that in the store.
Yep.
And then actually when they go to the store, then it's kind of like a little kind of, not a hunt, but okay,
Mhm.
so this is what you had to do on paper. Now, can you do it here? Where would you find these items? Can you show me? On the signs, you know, look up top and see if you can do a word association. Does it say this word where milk is, where this word where, you know, pizza is, or whatever? And see if they can do, like, from their list, look at the store and do the same thing. Like, okay, do you see up there where it says this, or down the aisles?
Mhm.
Kind of a matching game.
That's great.
And then the same with money, have them look at the prices of the items. And I always taught my son to round up
Mhm.
to the nearest dollar. So maybe teach them that as well. So that way then you're over instead of under.
Yes. Great.
Because you don't want them to not be able to have enough money to pay for their items. But if they
Mhm.
learn to round up, then they're more likely to be like, okay, I'm aware that I only have this much money. This is how much I have to spend. I can't go over this budget.
And we are working on enhancements that will go on the student portal. So I think these are great suggestions to add there too. So you
Yeah,
can
'cause
do this lesson with a student and then send them to the portal for additional support.
Yeah,
And
because
yeah.
budgeting is huge. If you, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
if you send them in with $10 and that's all they have to spend, and they have to pick out a certain amount of items to spend for $10, they could go through and be like, okay, what can I buy? What can I not buy? Round the amount to the nearest dollar,
Mhm.
and then off of your list, what can you purchase for $10?
Yes, perfect. And I know, yeah, and I know some of that's going to be done, as I said, on the student portal, but
Mhm.
we have that's still in development. So,
Okay.
yeah, no, that's very good suggestions.
And then you could do like the pre and the post afterwards as well. Or the
Mhm.
last test would be like, okay, going over everything that you learn visually and, you know, vocabulary wise. Like, how much money did you spend? How much money do you need to spend for this? How much money do you need to save for this? What, you know,
Mhm.
how much change would you get back if you had this amount? So pretty much what you have for your post test.
Perfect.
So yeah,
Perfect. Thank you for those wonderful suggestions.
you're welcome. I like doing lesson plans. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Nice. I appreciate it. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. That actually, wow. You did fantastic, everyone. It's 2:59. I want to thank you all for sticking with us throughout the sessions we've done thus far. I really appreciate your participation and your hard work. So thank you, and everything you're doing for students right now. I really do want to thank you for that. If there's anything I can do for you, if you need additional support, I believe you have my email. Let me know what we can do. I'm happy to help in any way. I want to thank Cesar for his leadership and support. And if there's anything else you all need, just let me know. I have had a lot of fun working with you, and I hope to do so in the future. So thank you.
I just have a quick question.
Mhm.
So I did my homework. I have some issues on my Zoom. So I have doing my lessons. So I'm working with students that they speak other language than Spanish. And sometimes it's quite difficult to use the iSOSY lessons because they're only in English and Spanish. So we have to, well, in my case, what I do is always crossing all the Spanish to deliver the lesson. So I don't know if there might be another option to only have the English version. I know it will be quite difficult to add all these lessons in different languages, but at least keeping only the English version, I don't know, that might be possible.
Yeah, no, see, we've had some states volunteer to translate things, which was great, but it's very costly if we were to ask people, if we were to hire out, it's very expensive. And we know we have the expertise to do it in Spanish, and the majority of our students are Spanish at this point, but we know there are so many other languages. The student portal, there are resources there available in 7 languages right now. So that's an option to pursue, but that is something I would love to do more of. Unfortunately, our budget is so tiny. It's really hard to get everything translated into multiple languages. So I don't know what else to tell you. I know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I understand that. I know it's quite
I know.
difficult. Even for us, it's quite difficult to translate everything
Yeah.
on a language. Here in Omaha, the main language they speak on our migrant families is Karen. And it's difficult. But I was like wondering if we can only keep the English version, like taking all this Spanish and then we just keep all the, I mean,
yeah.
you know, the
Oh, yeah.
same, and only the English version. I think that would be easier to teach. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Instead,
and I
like,
want to say almost everything is in English and Spanish. So there's always an English version. So if you want to work with that, and if there's something, if you have access to translators and they're good translators and they've worked with documents before and they're reasonable, I would be more than willing to look at our budget and say, because it's also hard for me to get access. So I would definitely be willing to partner with the Omaha School District or whatever we needed to do to get those, because I know other states would find that very, very useful. So we've had, like Illinois has a French Creole population, and so they translated a couple of things into French. What else do we have? We have some, I know our all the COVID information we had in multiple languages because that was accessible to us. So yes, if we could work something out, I could follow up with Cesar and see. Yeah. Because I'm more than willing. I just wish I had an easy way to do it.
yeah, that's something
kill my
I've
budget.
noticed working with the students. Like sometimes they ask me, "Oh, this is English?" No, it's Spanish, and then I have to
Yeah.
cross it out. And just if we can get like the English version, and then we can use to all different from different students speak different languages.
Yep.
Because
And
I
if
have students speak Arabic, and it's quite difficult to translate everything. So only
No,
the
you're-
English version would be great, I
Yeah,
think.
but I want to say, I think there might be some videos, I know some student videos that are in Spanish, but that's the students speaking themselves. And we did put in, I think we have English at the bottom, so we have closed captioning at the bottom. But I'm trying to think, there's very few things that are just in Spanish. So there's almost always an English version, and if you can't find it, reach out to me.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I don't know if that's only us here in Omaha or all these projects are dealing with, language barriers with the students, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up and.
Oh, no, and I really appreciate that. Thank
Alright,
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sure. Anything else, Cesar?
I don't have any questions. Anyone else, anything else? You got Tracy right here.
Oh, I really appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun for me. So I hope you felt like you learned something, and let me know. I'll be happy to help in any way. So please reach out. So thank you, everybody.
Thank
Take
you. And Tracy,
care.
do you have the evaluation link?
Yes, I will send that to you.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll send an
Thank you.
email out with
Okay.
it.
Perfect.
If you guys can please complete that.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you all so much. It's good to get to know you better and see everybody. Thank you. Take care,
Thank you for your
everybody.
time.
You're welcome. Thank you.